Ask for 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cordray, you mentioned in your remarks that one way to be assured you would be held accountable is that you were going to face a couple audits. I would hope that you would know, as most of us know, that audits tell you if any money was blatantly stolen, but they don't in the classic sense of the word, if anybody took cash or equipment, but they don't generally tell you how efficient an agency is or how well taxpayer dollars are spent, or if agencies plunder the public trust and treasury by overpaying employees and giving exorbitant bonuses that aren't necessary and aren't earned, and things like that. You usually don't see those in audits. Audits didn't work for the SEC when 20-some investigators and 30-some examiners and untold members of management, or maybe those numbers are reversed, it's not really important, turned a blind eye to Bernard Madoff for over a decade after they were given an open-shut case. Audits didn't help out the poor victims of the MF Global scandal, and audits have not yet exposed, and there's been no prosecution for the crony capitalism, the crooked deals like Solandra that have been burdened upon our taxpayers unnecessarily. And so my question to you is, do you plan to actually prosecute any wrongdoers, and if so, how and when?
Sure, and let me say a couple things. First of all, I didn't mean to misspeak. I don't mean to suggest that 2 audits a year, even though it's more audits than the other banking agencies are subject to, is sufficient oversight. I do think that the active oversight by Congress, as exemplified by having me testify here today, and I testified in front of the House Oversight Committee a couple of weeks ago, and I assume we'll be here frequently, and I think that's entirely appropriate. I welcome that. That's an important part of the oversight as well. In terms of the issue you raised, and you raised it in your opening statement as well, and I think it is an important issue to raise, is what is being done to hold people accountable for violations of law in the financial marketplace. That is something that our Bureau has the authority to do. We are, in our enforcement division group, which I headed up before being appointed as director, we are underway. I can say that there are a number of investigations we've inherited and are working in a coordinated way from other agencies, and a number that we've initiated ourselves. I can't, of course, give details on those, but we take very seriously our obligation to hold people to comply with the law. And when they don't, we will take action. It'll be strong action. It will make sure that consumers, as much as possible, are recompensed for the harm that was done to them by a violation of the law. And I see that function particularly important as supporting all the other responsible businesses in that market who themselves are not violating the law, who are very careful to comply with the law. Often it costs them money to do that. It means they can't cut corners and cut costs in some ways that the violators do. It's unfair competition. And so I think when we enforce the law even-handedly and reasonably, we support all the good businesses in that marketplace, and typically they welcome that.
Do you expect, and should we expect, any subprime investigations and prosecutions?
I don't want to, I want to be careful here because I know I'm not supposed to talk about ongoing investigations or give any details or potentially move the markets by saying something that I shouldn't. What I would say is if you or your staff have particular areas of concern that you want to bring to our attention, we're all ears. We are interested in that perspective from not only from you all who hear a lot from your constituents that we may not hear, although we hear a lot from the same people, but also from the public at large. We have a whistleblower portal on our website now.
I've only got a minute left.
I'm sorry.
Do you plan on overseeing errant regulators? You know, we have errant regulators who I think have gone way beyond the scope of their authority. And have caused havoc in our community banking industry. And there seems to be an inability of the agencies to rein them in.
Okay. Well, I would say this. First of all, I think our primary responsibility is that we not become some sort of errant regulator ourselves, and I think that's important. And I want to hear from you if people are bringing to your attention ways in which we are erring in that regard. We don't have the authority to control other regulators per se, but we work with them, we collaborate with them. We also collaborate and work cooperatively with state regulators in a lot of these areas. So to the extent we can set an example and in working with them, make sure that things are being done appropriately, we will. Beyond that, I do want us to treat community banks and smaller institutions appropriately, recognizing that they're different size, they're different model, their community roots often make them very different from the largest institutions, and we want to try to preserve and encourage that model.
Thank you. I see my time is up.
Thank you, gentlemen.